When financial analysts discuss an impending AI crash, they look to the stock market, anticipating a repeat of the 2000 dot-com bust, assuming that if the current bubble bursts, trillions of dollars in speculative digital equity simply collapses into nothing. Applying historical software bubble frameworks to the current artificial intelligence build-out misreads the data. You cannot build a 1 gigawatt AI data center out of thin air. We are facing a mesolayer brownfield bubble. This crisis is anchored in the physical, local infrastructure that keeps our cities running. The entities driving this bubble are apex pioneers, executing a massive, quiet land grab across the physical world. They are systematically targeting real-world assets, high-density compute, silicon supply chains, capital, baseload energy, and logistics networks. This split-screen visualization captures the disconnect. An infinite digital boom, represented by upward-trending stocks, sits above a subterranean grid of water tables and power lines under extreme strain. Bypassing traditional cash, this physical build-out relies on an opaque, fragile web of off-balance sheet debt. Misdiagnosing this land grab as a software bubble leaves our local economies exposed. A failure here triggers a physical infrastructure collapse that a recovered stock portfolio cannot fix. For decades, the technology industry has operated on an enterprise-out model. They build frictionless capabilities inside isolated corporate silos and push them out into the world. This push model relies on a core misconception, the assumption that the physical Earth operates as a greenfield, a pristine, blank slate ready to absorb whatever technology is thrown at it. Watch this 3D plane shift. The Earth is not a smooth, infinite greenfield. It's a dense, heavily regulated, thermodynamically restricted brownfield filled with physical bottlenecks. The current AI infrastructure build-out ignores these restrictions. Corporations leverage massive private debt to aggressively hoard water rights and baseload energy across these constrained zones. Securing billions in hard physical assets using debt is dangerous when the underlying AI revenue models remain speculative and have yet to materialize. If those off-balance sheet debt structures fail to produce returns, they generate dead mass. These are massive, stranded physical liabilities left behind in the local environment. A failed infrastructure build-out leaves permanent scars. It looks like this: immense industrial cooling systems sitting dormant and abandoned, with the local resources already consumed. When opaque debt is used to fund raw physical extraction without guaranteed revenue, a market correction does more than erase numbers on a balance sheet. It permanently drains local ecosystems. To understand the immediate threat, we have to shift our focus away from global corporate debt and look directly at the local impact points, our states, provinces, and municipal utility grids. These municipalities are currently being devastated by an economic mechanism known as the mesosqueeze. In this model, you see the mesosqueeze. A glowing green stream of digital revenue is extracted from local nodes, moving upward to centralized corporate centers. Simultaneously, thermodynamic damage, heat, power drain, resource exhaustion, cascades downward from the corporation directly back into the local grid. This dual flow is highly imbalanced. It privatizes all the financial upside for the corporation while socializing the physical friction onto the local community. The economic theory manifests in the empirical reality of local businesses experiencing cascading utility failures. Recently in Chicago, a small bakery spent $1,700 on emergency dry ice just to save its inventory during a storm-driven blackout where the grid was stretched to its absolute breaking point. The systemic asymmetry is absolute. While that local bakery faced financial devastation to keep the lights on, centralized tech and energy giants operating in the exact same region posted record quarterly profits. The mesosqueeze structurally transforms local municipalities. They cease being beneficiaries of technological progress and instead become expendable shock absorbers for corporate thermodynamic excess. This physical strain is about to accelerate as hyperscalers pivot their focus toward autonomous agentic AI. These AI agents are designed to act independently, negotiating and executing logistical and financial trades on behalf of their parent corporations without requiring human oversight. They operate at extreme speeds, fully capable of executing complex compute workload trades in a matter of milliseconds. This timeline graphs the severe temporal mismatch. The rigid x-axis tracks physical time in years, while hyper-accelerated waves represent digital trades executing in milliseconds. This trap crashes millisecond negotiations blindly into municipal grids with 5-year waiting lists, creating an exponentially growing friction metric. COSE proved a foundational principle. When the friction of clearing a contract exceeds the value of the transaction itself, the market fails. In this environment, that failure takes the form of a contractual seizure. AI agents will successfully write millions of digital checks that the physical grid lacks the thermodynamic capacity to clear. Unleashing autonomous execution into a 5-year physical pipeline guarantees systemic market failure. When the infrastructure required to clear a trade won't exist for years, the digital transaction cannot be completed. We cannot survive the transition to high-speed autonomous systems by forcing machine logic through 20th-century physical pipes. The structural solution requires reversing economic gravity, moving away from the enterprise-out corporate extraction model. We must transition to a system of kinetic decoupling driven by demand-out physics. Under this principle, algorithmic power only flows to the edge when it is dynamically pulled to resolve a verified local need. This systemic flow model shows the inverted routing architecture. The central hub's capability remains locked until an outer edge node emits a localized pull signal, triggering a 4-part assembly process. For any transaction to clear, 4 distinct dimensions must perfectly align at that local level. First is cyber. The system verifies the exact algorithmic capability required to execute the task. Second is physical. The system verifies the local grid actually possesses the thermodynamic capacity to absorb the load. Third is sovereign, ensuring absolute compliance with all local jurisdictional laws. And fourth is social, requiring explicit biological consent from the surrounding community. Implementing this 4-node alignment rewires the market, so resources are allocated based on physical reality. It prevents capability from overwhelming capacity by construction. By mandating that algorithmic systems only move when the living world asks them to, we eliminate the risk of a systemic infrastructure crash. We ensure artificial intelligence serves human physics rather than destroying it.